Hi, this is Wayne Unger, and we're doing a special feature. We're retiring number 32 in honor of Sandy Koufax and Elston Howard. Of course, I do a podcast with my partner, Craig Steer, called Weighted Donuts in honor of Elston Howard and his invention, the weighted batting donut. And I have with me here Eli Grba, who pitched for the Yankees in 1959 and 1960, and he also pitched for the Los Angeles Angels from 61 to 63. Eli, welcome. I'm glad to have you back. Glad to have you on. How are you?
Well, thank you, Wayne. I appreciate it very much.
So, tell me, I mean, when someone says Elston Howard, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Classy man, a man, heck of a ball player. He hit. I think he was as a matter of fact, to tell you the truth, and I shouldn't even say this because I was a rookie in '59 and really and truly, kind of a bullpenner guy. I liked throwing to Ellie better than I did Yogi. He was a bigger target, and for some reason I just had a better. I don't know. I just had a. It's not that I had better stuff with him or anything else, but I just like throwing to him, just the way he caught, And
that's not uncommon. So tell me something. There's Ellie himself told the story years ago, and he said that when he caught Whitey, he said he always stuffed the ball on the buckles on his shin guard before he threw it back. Did he do that for you?
No. But the Yankees had a little thing going. If you were a rookie, they didn't give to you didn't. There wasn't any information that they gave you because they didn't know if you were going to stay long enough. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I didn't know anything about Yogi. About Whitey. Scuffing the ball or anything else. You're naive. You're just there. You didn't think anybody smoked when you first got there. Or drank a beer. Of course, I'm talking about the clubhouse. But
of course.
I did find out that what Ellie would do is that when Whitey would load the ball up a little bit, he'd throw the ball to Ellie, and Ellie would drop the ball and grab it and scuff it on the ground and throw it back to Whitey. And he'd have a gob of dirt or whatever it was on one side, and he knew what to do with it.
Wow. And
that's a picture.
Yeah. Did you ever talk with any other pitchers about? Did anybody else ever express a preference for throwing to Ellie, or it was just something that wouldn't be talked about back then?
No, it wasn't really talked about, Wayne. But the thing was with Yogi. Yogi was like a second manager. And what he would do is, you're a rookie and you're out there, and I was kind of wild anyway. I didn't have the best control and everything else. So when certain things would happen, he'd always look in the clubhouse. In the dugout. And I asked him one day, I said, Yogi, what the heck are you looking in the dugout for? Well, the old man wants to know if you got good stuff or not. That type of thing. Well, the only kind of conflict I had with Ellie is I wore glasses. And if I pitched the second game of a doubleheader in Yankee Stadium and it was, the dusk, it was difficult for me to see his fingers, And the old man came out one day and, I was looking for a sign and I couldn't see it. And Ellie came out and the old man came out and he said, what's the matter? I said, can't see the sign. And he told Ellie, he says, put some tape on your fingers. Well, Ellie got mad. He got mad at that. And then I think he got mad at me for, I can't help it. I can't see signs. but he forgot about it. He's one of the classiest men I've ever met in my life on a ball field. Ellie was.
Yeah, I tell you, anytime we have anybody on the show that had any kind of contact with Ellie, we hear the same thing. And it's funny. We had Al Downing on, and Al Downing said that another thing about Ellie is whatever town you went to, he told you the best places to eat. And yesterday I did a little short interview with Marty Appel, who was the Yankees PR guy in the 70s. And he said he told that same story. He said Ellie would always tell you, whatever town you were in, where to go eat. So, when I hear things like that, it's like, how some people will say something nice about someone who's not here, but there are some people, and I even though I didn't know the man, I truly believe that Ellie is one of those guys. You can just hear it in the tone. You can hear, you can kind of hear it in the exhale, so to speak.
Well,
Ellie,
it was very funny that you mentioned that about Al, because when I first got with the Yankees, the guy that took me was Don Larson. And Don took me and got me my first suit. Took me to where they got a deal on suits. He took me to Danny's Steakhouse. Told me where to go and where we get discounts. That type of stuff. So he kind of showed me around. Of course, he taught me how to drink some after dinner drinks too. So that I didn't need.
It was a double-edged sword. So and what about when you were in Los Angeles with the Angels? Did you get to know Sandy Koufax at all, or
no?
Not at all.
No. They were, when we were in Los Angeles, they were out of town, and like I say, in 1962, we played at Dodger Stadium, so naturally, and plus the fact, the Dodgers came to California, and they won the pennant in the World Series in '59, so they were the heroes. And we were just, when we came there, we were just like, nobody gave a damn about us, really. Until 1962, when we had the good year, then we started getting some ink. But prior to that, we got nothing. Hardly anything at all. Well, we had Koufax, Drysdale, Luke Snyder. What do you expect?
Right.
So,
yeah.
No, I've seen him. And I've seen him pitch on TV and everything else, and I've seen how hard he threw the curveball, and I marveled at him. Being a pitcher, I said, "Good Lord," So, but like I said, there's your other 32, and that's not too shabby. 232s like that.
Not at all. So, and I would be completely remiss if I didn't mention that Eli has a book called Fallen Angel.
Yeah.
And
first of all, Wayne, excuse me, it's the first name. It's my name first. It's Eli Grba, and then it's the Fallen Angel.
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay.
Eli Grba, Fallen Angel.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's available on Amazon.
Yeah. Or they can contact me, and what it is, I'll tell you. Is it okay if I tell you the price over there?
Oh, sure, no problem.
Okay, yeah, it's $29, and with that you get the inscription, you get the shipping, and you get two real nice pictures, one in the Yankees uniform and one in the Angels uniform, signed. So
excellent.
That's a good deal. And if they want it, they can get my address. And if they've got a cell phone or anything else, they can get me on Facebook. It's usually on.
Yes, you can. Okay. And you can either find Eli on Facebook, Eli Grba, Grba, or, of course, anyone can contact me on Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to pass along the contact information. Okay,
Yeah, you can get my address. Yeah.
Absolutely. You can find me on Facebook, or you can come to our group page, Weighted Donuts, and contact me through there, and I'll get you the information. Actually, and I'll be honest with you, I believe my partner ordered it. He told me he was going to order it when I gave him the information. I have not yet had a chance to order it, but I've read reviews on it. I dug in a little bit, and you've actually gotten some great reviews. You got yourself a real book, Eli.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. I've personally, from my house, sold close to 300 books.
Wow.
From my house, and it's only been out, I think, since February, whatever it is. Amazon, you can order it from. But I had talked to my collaborator who did another book on Coates, Jim Coates, my old teammate, and Hank Foyles, who was with the Pirates. He wrote books about them too. So he's quite the writer. He really is. He did a heck of a job, Wayne. He really did.
Excellent. So, Eli, thank you very much for your time. And we will be in touch. And let me just close out the conference. Don't go anywhere.
No.
Hello, and welcome to this special edition of Weighted Donuts. I'm Wayne Unger. And today we have our special guest, Marty Appel, who has been, I believe you were public relations publicist, among many other things, for the New York Yankees for years and years and years. Is that semi-correct?
2 years, not 3. No, I'm kidding.
Okay.
You said years and years and years. You made me sound old.
Oh, okay.
But it's true. I was the Yankee PR director for most of the 70s.
Okay. So, and the reason we have you here today, we're doing a little tribute show. The whole thing, with this podcast, we're all part of Comfortably Zone Radio, and we've been retiring numbers. So, the next number that's being retired is number 32. In honor of Sandy Koufax and Elston Howard. And, of course, I'll tell you the story why my show is called Weighted Donuts. I'm not sure. I don't know how old you are, and you don't have to tell me, but if you grew up in New York, back, when I was a kid, Sonny Fox, he had 2 shows. Most people remember his Sunday morning show, Wonderama. But Sonny Fox also had, this game show, like a participation game show with these little contests of skill and silliness called Just for Fun.
Uh-huh.
And when in May of '63, I was on that show. A friend of mine had gotten tickets, and part of their birthday celebration was bringing kids from the class onto the show, and I got picked for the baseball contest, which was basically it was like a wiffle ball batting, pitching machine. And Elston Howard was the guest, and this was 1963, and Sonny Fox was talking about what a great year he was having, and I said that he was going to win the MVP. And Sonny Fox turned around, and it was like, oh, who do we have here? And, of course, they started asking me some questions, and I do remember quite clearly embellishing my Little League career, nonetheless. And I remember Elston showed me his batting stance. And it's funny, many years later, when my oldest son was probably about 8 years old or so, I bought an instructional videotape, Baseball the Yankees Way, and Elston was on it, and it was like, sure enough, there's that swing as simple as can be. I remember thinking back, like what he showed me, and it wasn't complicated. It was great. So there's, so of course, growing up a Yankee fan, and having that moment, I have a special affinity for Elston, and my partner who I do the show with, Craig Steer, knew about this, and that's where he came up with the name of the show, Weighted Donuts. So, so back in the 70s, when you started with the Yankees, Ellie was a coach. Any particular memory, something, incident, anything that that stands out that you can remember about him?
Oh, absolutely. We were good friends, and he was a wonderful guy, but mostly he just had a sense of such dignity for the young players who were coming up in the 70s. And we're talking Thurman Munson and Bobby Mercer and, some quality people started to join the team. Sparky Lyle came from Boston. Greg Nettles came from Cleveland. And everybody just looked up to Elston Howard, not only because he was part of that dynasty of the Yankees of Casey Stengel's years in the 50s, but he just presented himself as such a guy you look up to and respect. And if Ellie said something like, if he had a restaurant recommendation in some city we were going to, you knew that wasn't a bum steer. That was going to be quality. Everything about the guy was quality.
It's funny. I can't remember if it was Ron Bloomberg or Al Downing who said pretty much the same thing about a restaurant recommendation. We've had them, both on the show, and one of them absolutely said that. So,
well, those were critical on road trips. You counted on the restaurant recommendations.
Wow. I mean, basically, like anytime his name is brought up, we even had Eli Grba, who pitched for the Yankees in 59 and 60. It was like anytime you ask somebody about Elston Howard, it's like you can almost you can hear a sigh of a combination of sadness and joy, Ellie,
Well, the sadness is because he left us at much too young an age, and nobody saw that coming. He was such a figure of fitness and health. So every time I think of Ellie, I'm still kind of rocked by that. The other thing is, the first time I met him, I was a little shocked at what a larger-than-life figure he was. He was really a big man. And, you think of all those sluggers on the Yankees he played with. Somehow you didn't think of him as bigger than Mickey Mantle, bigger than Roger Maris, bigger than Moose Skowron, but he was a really formidable figure.
I can imagine that. It's funny. Do you know when I noticed how big Ellie was? When he stepped in between Reggie Jackson and Billy Martin.
Oh yeah.
That's when it struck me wow, he's a big dude, and he kept them away from each other. That was and tell me something. By any chance, do you have any memories, anything to share about Sandy Koufax?
Well, yeah, but I begin always by saying this was the God among us. I mean, I'm still in awe of Sandy Koufax, and he was the best baseball player of my lifetime. He was a pitcher, so you tend to sometimes put pitchers in a separate category. But what an amazing athlete he was. And my own little memory of him is actually kind of funny, but there used to be an event called the Cracker Jack Old Timers Game played in Washington, D.C., which was an old timers game, and it brought old players back to D.C. when they didn't have a team. Anyway, I was part of the committee, and I was the National League manager one year, and I asked Sandy if he could face at least one batter and start the game for us. And he said he'd throw one pitch, but it was really going to hurt his arm to do more than one pitch. And I sort of pleaded because the fans would love to see it so much. So he agreed to face one batter, and that was Dick McAuliffe, who used to play for Detroit. So wouldn't you know it, McAuliffe starts fouling off pitches, and I'm feeling terrible, and Sandy's looking at me in the dugout, but I keep rolling my hand saying, just the one batter, Sandy, one batter. So he finally gets McAuliffe, and he looks at me, and okay, I go out to the mound. I really didn't need to do that, but I was hamming it up a little bit. So I go out to the mound, and I motion to the bullpen for Warren Spahn to come in, and I put out my hand, and I say, Sandy, I really don't like what I'm seeing here. Imagine saying that to Sandy Koufax. And he laughed. Nobody, of course, knew why we were laughing on the mound, but he was still laughing about it the next morning. That's my Sandy story.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Even though I grew up a Yankee fan, I think particularly any Jewish baseball fan who grew up in that era, Sandy Koufax was absolutely special. And I remember coming home from school after Game 1 of the '63 World Series, and I was like I was hoping to catch just a little bit of it, because remember back then they were all daytime, and I was hoping to catch a little bit of it, and I turned on the TV and it was all. I was like, no, there's no way. It didn't go that fast, and then sure enough, and back then, of course, you couldn't check the web, and news. You didn't get news 24 hours of sports, so basically, I had to turn on the radio and wait. Listen to the news and to find out that he had pitched the World Series game of anyone's life and shut out the Yankees and struck out 15 batters and basically, the Dodgers just shut the Yankees down, and it was bittersweet.
It's true, Wayne, that Jewish fans loved Sandy because he was Jewish. But as they said about the rye bread, you didn't have to be Jewish to love Sandy Koufax and respect what a figure he was on the pitching mound.
It's true. Very true. Very true. So, Marty, thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate you taking the time out for this. And
my pleasure to talk about two great guys like that. That was a treat.
All right. Great. Thank you. You have a great day, Marty.
Thank you, Wayne.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.